This is Getting On with Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living, and this lesson is Pure Heart. It's easy to go along with the flow of what others are doing or thinking. While there are things we should do with diligence or believe with faithfulness, we tend to give in to our selfish desires or our pride, and let our surroundings influence us to give up what we should uphold. I recall seeing various psychological experiments years ago where people agreed to things they knew were not true because everyone around them said it was so. It's hard for people to stand for what is true when they have to disagree with everyone else. At the same time, there are more subtle influences, such as people around us doing things we think are wrong, but being able to get away with it. We might feel we are missing out, since others are getting some benefit we are missing. God gave strict instruction to the Israelites when they entered the Promised Land that they were not to intermarry with the other nations or adopt their ways. However, God's people did pick up the evil things done by those around them, including worshipping their idols and even offering child sacrifices. It is hard for us to maintain a pure standard and keep a pure heart when there are many evil influences around us. Somehow it is natural for people to be drawn to things that influence them, even if those things are wrong. King Solomon warns that we are not to associate with angry people, or we will become like them. In Proverbs 22:24 and 25 he said, "Make no friendship with an angry man, and do not go with a furious man, or you will learn his ways and get a snare to your soul." Note these other warnings about how the company we keep influences us. Proverbs 13:20, "He that walks with wise men will be wise, but a companion of fools will be destroyed." 1 Corinthians 15:33, "Be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners." 1 Corinthians 5:6, "Do you not know that a little leaven affects the whole lump?" Proverbs 9:6, "Abandon the foolish and live. Go in the way of understanding." The Bible refers to drift as a danger for believers. Hebrews 2:1 says, "We must give the more earnest attention to the things we have heard, lest we drift away." Our challenge is to keep a pure heart, even though we are easily influenced by the actions and beliefs of others. A pure heart is not contaminated with impure thoughts and motives, or wrong beliefs, or excuses for doing wrong. It does not hold hatred, anger, spite, selfishness, or deception. It holds to what is true and pure, even when everyone objects. However, we may have to do that against a strong tide. I use the analogy of someone who thinks they are a good swimmer. They are asked if they can swim half a mile, and laugh at how easy that is. They are offered a huge sum to swim that distance, and gladly agree. They are then taken to a rushing river and told they are to swim half a mile across the river, taking a rope. However, the fast-flowing water will sweep them toward deadly rapids. They object that they can't do it, and are reminded how cocky they were in assuring everyone that swimming half a mile was a piece of cake. Of course they can swim half a mile, but they can't beat a fast-flowing tide. That's the same for you. Of course you can hold to what you believe, if no tide pulls against you. Of course you can keep a pure heart, as long as you are not tempted with pride, immorality, greed, anger, self-interest, etc. Of course you can remain true and faithful in a pristine environment. However, you have to maintain your faith, purity, commitment, consistency, energy, integrity, and commitment against a tide that is determined to sweep you away. So, how do you manage that? One step is to realize there is a tide pulling you to be unfaithful, selfish, proud, bitter, and evil. If you don't realize the tide is there, it will sweep you away without warning. Realize the worldly and evil values being pushed at you on the media, movies, music, internet, and culture around you. Take steps to recognize and resist the tide. Realize that your children and family will be sold ideas and values directly opposite to God's ways. All manner of messages promote current worldly themes, promoting independence, atheism, godless and God-hating ideas, materialism, immorality, selfishness, sin, human wisdom, and so much more. I know of people who have moved their children away from schools where corrupt values are promoted, or who relocated to rural settings where the pressures of city values were not present, or who changed churches to avoid being washed with wrong values. At the same time, we can be strong against wrong values by being firm in our commitments. Remember the 3 Jewish men who refused to bow to Nebuchadnezzar's statue? They were threatened with incineration in the fiery furnace, but chose death rather than to abandon their commitment to God. The stronger our resolve to love and serve God, the stronger our defenses against the seductions of this world. So choose what you believe and reaffirm those beliefs, choosing to hold them tightly. In Joshua 24:15, Joshua said, "Choose for yourselves this day who you will serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And Psalm 119:106 says, "I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep your righteous judgments." At the same time, we need to call on the Lord to be our shield and protector. God even needs to protect us from our own weakness and vulnerability. That's why I love the verse from Jude about God keeping me from falling. I don't save myself, but look to the Lord to protect me even from my foolishness. Jude 1:24 says, "Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling, and present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy." And call on God to clean you up along the way, revealing areas where you have bought into compromise or been contaminated. King David prayed such prayers. In Psalm 19, verse 12, he says, "Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults." And in Psalm 139, 23 and 24, he said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me, and know my thoughts, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." And in Psalm 51:10 he said, "Create a clean heart in me, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." Remember that God is ready to keep cleansing you. Every time you find you have bought into this world's values, or allowed evil and foolish things to contaminate you, come to God and confess your errors, and he will forgive and cleanse you. 1 John 1:9 says, "If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins, and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness." Something else that might help you is to watch my earlier lesson about holding to our values, titled Hold On Tight. Friends, beware the evils around you that want to draw you into wrong ideas and wrong living. Call on God and walk humbly with him, and be blessed as you maintain a pure heart. God bless you.